How are you? Dr. Morrison. I have questions from about 73 families, and I'm going to do my best to answer them for you. Please keep in mind that this plan is subject to change because of the uncertainty that we're living in right now, and we're going to do the best we can, what we have, where we are. And the first thing we have to do is answer some of the questions so that you can make a decision for in-person or remote learning for your children. So thanks for all your questions. We already have about 700 responses. We have 1,639 students registered in New Hyde Park Garden City Park schools for the 2020-21 school year. So we have about 900 more people who have to respond to us. We're looking at about a 30-70 split right now, meaning 70% for in-person instruction. So we'll go on and answer some questions so the rest of you can make your decision. About 30% of you right now looking for remote instruction. Some of these questions are repetitive. I will go through each form. Some of these questions, and I may skip because they're repetitive, some of these questions also are very specific to some of your children, and I'm not going to attempt to answer them here, but I do have your phone numbers, and I will assign an administrator or staff member to call you back, or I will call you myself if I can answer it for you. I'll find the appropriate person who can answer the question, because I'm not going to give you guess answers, and I don't know your children's programs specifically well enough. And I'm getting a text saying that it's not working on the New Hyde Park site. Let's hope it's working, because I can't tell how many of you can see me. Okay. Just making sure we're working. I'm waiting to find out that we're working. .603. It's working on the email link that I sent to parents. Okay, so that means there's people out there. Okay, so my tech guys, Mikhail and Nathaniel, if you can check the website, please. It looks like the link from the website might not be working. So please give that a look. And I'm going to start answering some questions because we have a lot of them. And there's a disclaimer. If I can't answer it, we will we'll get in touch, okay? All right, I'm starting with this question. If a child opts out, thanks, Mrs. Donnie. I miss you, Mrs. Donnie. Thanks for the text. She can see me and hear me. Appreciate it. Okay, so if a child opts out to do in-person school and then becomes ill or is exposed to someone and needs to quarantine for 2 weeks, will they be able to remote learn for those 2 weeks and then resume in-person instruction? Depends. It depends. So that will depend on the situation. If it's someone who's quarantining and the rest of the class is still in class, that person, the child who's out, will be getting home tutoring probably, not remote instruction. We're not going to be moving children who are having a sick day from their regular class, whether it be for whatever sickness. You do not move out of your remote class and then go home and sign into I'm sorry, you don't go from your in-person class when you're sick, go home, and then be able to sign on to a remote class. The teachers who are teaching in the classroom are not remoting to home, okay? They are not remoting to home. So if your child does have a sick day and you're in an in-person situation, you are not getting remote, okay? If somebody is ill and needs time out of school, then they would get tutoring. And I would think that if somebody comes down with COVID, that the entire class would be quarantining because then they've all been exposed to somebody who has it, okay? Sorry, that's the roundabout answer, but case-by-case basis. Right, let's go to the next one. Next question. Besides using disposable brown bags for lunch, can we use reusable lunch bags that are insulated? Well, I would definitely recommend using the brown bag because then it gets thrown in the garbage and they don't bring it home to you. Using a bag that goes back and forth, they could be bringing something back to you. I'm going to say the same thing about book bags. I'm not saying don't send them. I'm just saying just know that if you do send a book bag and you're carrying something back and forth, you're bringing something back from the classroom. So can they bring the bags home? They could. I think that's your choice. Thermoses for water are always allowed in the classrooms, and we have bottle filling stations in the buildings. Will there be music or band practice as well as concerts? Not at the moment. The guidance on music and band is that you have to be 12 feet from one another, and we're not going to attempt that right now. We're going very cautiously. This is phase 1. Remember how we came out of quarantine and we were allowed to do a little bit here, a little bit there, you were allowed to go there, you were allowed to go there. We're doing the same thing with in-person instruction. We are going to structure this so that the cohorts are staying together. They're staying in one place for most of the day. Yes, they're going to be allowed to have brain breaks. They are going to be allowed to move around. The teachers can take them outside. If we have monitors who are free, they can take them outside for a little while. We're not trying to trap them in a classroom, but we are trying to mitigate transmission of the virus. So when you're doing that, you want to try and keep them away, but you don't have to necessarily keep them in a classroom. Okay, music and band practice is not happening right now. We'll get back to it. I promise we will. There will be music instruction, but it will be more of general music for the beginning. What about pull-out speech services? 100% not sure. It depends on the child. It depends on the need. And it depends on a few things. It depends on our rate of transmission. It depends on what's going on in the building. In the beginning, we're not going to immediately start pulling children out of classrooms. They are going to be contained, and we are going to see how we do. So phase 1, okay? Okay, I can't answer this other question for this parent because it is too child specific. So I will pass that question on to someone who can respond to you. Someone saying they didn't receive information on pre-K, is it the same as what was posted? Pre-K at Manor Oaks is going to be a little, I think the times are a little bit different. So here's what we're doing with pre-K, because we had a few of these questions. The AM sessions are going to start at 8:30 and they'll go into 11 a.m. Then they're going to shut down for cleaning between 11 o'clock and 12:15. Now remember, pre-K is not run by New Hyde Park, Garden City Park. It's run by Scope, so I'm giving you information from Scope. They're going to close down and clean between 11 and 12:15, and then they are going to open back up between 12:15 and 2:45 for the PM children. There will be AM classes as usual, PM classes as usual. They were aiming for 2 classes of 18, and then taking the two classes of 18, taking the 1 class of 18 and sort of breaking them into 2 groups of 9. But we also gave the pre-K teachers the option of remote. Some have chosen that already, so the class would be even smaller. So that's the information on pre-K. Dismissal was another question. Hold on, I have my posting. Dismissal, yes, I said, would be 2:45, which I understand Sometimes you have students who are zoned for other buildings going to pre-K at Manor Oaks, and you'll have to get your other child from, let's say, road school at 2:15, and then you have to scoot over to Manor Oaks to pick up your other child at 2:45 in the afternoon if you're at a PM session. Okay, so that's where we are right now. Next question, will remote learning and on-site schooling, are they going to be the same academically? For example, learning the same curriculum and having the same learning activities. Yes, they will be following the same curriculum. The teachers who are all working on the grade level will be meeting and talking about curriculum and pacing. You may know that last year and the year before, we've been working on common assessments that will be administered across the district. And for that reason, everyone has to be in the same pacing chart. So we have to be on the same pace. So yes, the schooling is going to be the same academically. It's going to be different delivery because there's nothing remote that can be the same as being in person. As far as the interaction, it's going to be a little bit different, but we're preparing for both. Okay, let's see if I can get this next one. For the school drop-off, do parents have to come at exactly 9:10 a.m. or is there a window of time so it's possible to do staggered drop-off from 8:45 to 9? Okay, school starts at 9:10. We can't bring children in before 9:10, but we are going to, now remember, this is initial preliminary planning. It turned out we have to change this. So right now, the plan from the principals was that we would bring children in from all different entries, from all different doorways, okay? So it could be, and I know that causes other problems because you have two children and you have to get this one into that doorway and that one into that doorway. We will figure that out. We definitely understand that. And it's the same thing for dismissal. Well, I have two children. I have one going out from that door and one going out from that door. We'll figure it out. Okay, we're just not there yet. But yes, right now we're not looking at staggering the times. We're looking at different exits and entryways. We'll examine that. If it's not going to work, we're going to fix it and we're going to change it and we're going to make it different. Okay. I hope that helps. We have never experienced this before, so please bear with us. We're doing the best that we can, just trying to keep everybody safe. And these are our initial thoughts. Okay, how long is the screening procedure expected to take? Well, you're doing that at home, so we're not screening your children at the doors. And I really need to talk to all of you about this. If you choose in-person instruction, there's been some concern that in the past, a child will have a fever and a parent will give a child Tylenol or Advil and send them to school and there's no fever, and then all of a sudden at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, the child is flustered and red, and we're calling the parent to say your child has a fever, please come and pick them up. We live in a different world now. This is a different world. And if you choose in-person instruction, I need you to take on the responsibility of making sure that you do not send a child to school who has symptoms. There's a list of symptoms. You will have an app that we are going to ask you to download onto your phone. Every day that app is going to come up and ask you, does your child have a fever? What are my other ones? Are they experiencing a cough? Any of those symptoms. If you feel that your child is ill, we need you to have a backup plan to keep your child at home. I can't emphasize it more. So if you have that ability, that's wonderful. I understand some of you are in a hard spot. You need to go back to work, you know, and you need us to make sure we have your child all day long. We want to do that, but we want to be healthy. So please, in the morning, you're going to fill out the app. We need you to be honest. We need you to send a child to school to us who you believe is healthy so that we can teach and we can give them an education and we can send them back to you healthy. Okay? I can't emphasize that enough. I'm probably going to say that a few times today. All right. So we're not screening them. So if everybody screens and we have the app, we will have the app. When you drop your child off to school, your teacher will already know who has been screened and who has not. If you haven't responded to the app in the morning, Your child will then have to enter through a different doorway and will have to be screened by the nurse at that doorway. So that could delay your getting to work. If you do it beforehand, they're ready to go, drop them off, no problem. Okay? All right. So let's see, where are we going? Oh, thank you, Michael. All the symptoms. He just sent them to me because I'm here by myself. All right. Symptoms: fever, cough, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, sore throat, new loss of taste or smell, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting, or diarrhea. Any of those things, if your child is experiencing that, don't send them to school, please. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, next person. In case we opt for remote learning, can we have materials and books sent home? Yes. We don't have a lot of textbooks at the elementary level. A lot of everything is electronic. Even when they're here, it's e-books and such. Of course, we always have books, you know, that you can actually touch. But yes, you will have everything sent home. We're actually putting, the remote learning committee is actually putting together materials for every grade level. So if you choose remote learning, you'll have the materials you need for at-home learning. Okay, now some of you cheated and you put in 6 and 7 and 8 questions at once. So I need a minute. Let me see what you're asking. Okay, if you choose full remote, what happens to the students with IEPs and how will their accommodations be met? We are obligated to meet the accommodations to the best of our ability, which we will, and we will arrange that child by child, and our Director of Special Ed, Mrs. Levy, will be making sure that that happens. If you have specific questions about your child, I would suggest that you contact your principal. I will pass this information on to Mrs. Levy because some of it seems to be personal, so I'll pass this on to her and she can answer some of these questions. Do the students have to make up the hours for the shorter school day? We are still, no, they don't. This is not normal anymore. And we do have flexibility in what we're doing in school. So no. Are we following 180 days? We're actually following 183. And what does the school calendar look like? It's on the website. I think the only thing that looks a little different right now is that September 10th is going to be the first day of school rather than September 8th. You're not getting a school calendar, a hard copy mailed home, because we really did have a feeling that we were going to have to change the school calendar, and we didn't want to waste taxpayer money on printing a calendar that wasn't going to be accurate. So you will have to go to the website to see the calendar. And we'll be putting that up as soon as we have the dates for everything. So right now, September 10th is the first day of school. If the Regents regulations change and they allow us 2 more days for professional development for our teachers, then we are going to start school on the 14th of September. We will keep you informed, I promise. If a cohort has a case of COVID, does that group go to full remote for 14 days? They could. Depends on who has the case of COVID. You know, if it's a child, then, well, I can't even say that, because if it were the teacher and the teacher were ill, we would put in a substitute teacher, and the substitute teacher would be able to teach the remote class, and it would go remote, the remote class for the 14 days. Okay, that's how we would probably handle that. So what will teachers and staff do to break up the day? I answered that one. It is very difficult to sit in one seat all day. Absolutely, I agree. And we don't expect that. You know, I wouldn't want my own son sitting in the same seat all day long. So I'm certainly not going to make your child sit in the same seat all day long. How will kindergarten children who have never been in school be placed in a class? After school care for working parents. Okay, that's a run-on question. Hold on, let me answer the first one. How will kindergarten children who have never been in school be placed in a class? We were talking about this the other day, whole group of administrators. Right now, what we have to do is see who's coming. So right now, we're going to put children in the classes. I hate to say randomly, but right now it might be randomly, because our concern is putting children in a class, assigning them to a teacher, having them, then doing kindergarten orientation and screening, and then moving them into another class. So that's, we're not sure if we're going to do that, but we might. We're going to talk about it and see what we think is best. And, you know, it becomes a little bit difficult because we've got families who have to make the decision right now whether or not they're going to send their children into school. So if they're remote, then that's a whole group of children we have to think about how we are going to screen also. So right now, the thought process is any children who are coming in, we will assign to a teacher and they will come in, we'll do the screening, and we may have to then reassign the children to mix the group, but we're not 100% sure. And for the children who are out of school doing remote learning, we may have to have them come in so we can screen them at some point with our staff, so we understand baseline and their needs. Okay, I hope I answered that okay. We're still working on it. After school care for parents who are not remote. Where is the YMCA that my child can attend? There is a YMCA aftercare in every building. Will there be a school supply list? I think so. If I choose a school, will my child have, if I choose an in-school class, will my child have any remote work to complete? They'd be in school, and I would think that remote work would only be our specials teachers or who would be teaching into the class via Google Meet. But no, you'd only be assigned to your in-person teacher who would be giving you assignments. I hope I answered that right. How are the kids going to be in one classroom? I'm not really sure what that question means. I'm going to try and answer it the way I think it's being asked, which is we have classrooms that are 30 by 20 square feet, and we are going to separate them out from 6 feet apart. Children will be 6 feet from 6 feet. There will be a 6-foot radius, you know, around them. And we probably have an average of 18 in a class because our classrooms are large enough to fit that many children. So I hope I answered it. Okay. I answered this one already. You know, there are some questions that are getting asked as far as, so a particular child comes down with COVID. What if they have a sibling in another class? This will be, these types of scenarios are going to be figured out with the assistance of the Department of Health. So if it turns out that we have a child in the building who has COVID and they have a sibling who has COVID or could be exposed to COVID, we will seek guidance on how we're supposed to proceed. We will proceed swiftly, quickly, whatever it is that we are supposed to do, but we have to follow guidance, so that's what we will do. Do they quarantine? Yes. If you've been exposed to someone who has COVID, you have to quarantine. I would suggest going over the CDC guidance because it tells you exactly, we should all know what to do if we're exposed to someone who has COVID. You should quarantine. So I would think that if there's a sibling, they would be quarantining, okay? The YMCA, they will social distance with 6 feet. It may look different than YMCA used to be after school, but they have to social distance the children. I have their plan from the summertime, so I know that they will, they keep them in smaller groups. The groups remain separate from other groups. They've got them 6 feet apart. They teach children to wash their hands, cover their sneeze, stay at least 6 feet from people. The staff members stay 6 feet away. The YMCA will be sending us guidelines very soon. I was just talking to Mr. Foster of YMCA a little while ago, and they're in process. So they should have some registration forms out next week. So if you're interested in YMCA, definitely keep an eye out for the paperwork. And they will be posting it on their website, the YMCA website. And let's see, what else did he tell me? Definitely next week was where we were. Okay. Okay, somebody asked if they can provide face shields for their children. or asked if we were providing face shields for the children. We're not. We are providing 2 masks for every child, 2 cloth masks, and they are very cool. I said this before. I have a picture of them somewhere, but I should probably surprise you all with them, so I'm not going to show you yet. If you want to send your child with a face mask, you can, but they must also wear the mask. The face shield is not enough, okay? You have to have both. So if you want to send them wearing a face shield, we don't have a problem with that. And this particular person says they're comfortable and they're very easy to clean. So if you'd like to do that, that's perfectly fine. I answered the question about scope, UPK. I like the sentence, so I'm going to read it out loud. Children should ideally have their temperatures rechecked midday. As parents have been known to send sick and feverish children in after giving fever-reducing medicine. See, this is like widespread. Everybody knows about this. Otherwise, please, please, please stress to all parents just how important it is not to mask the fever with medications and expose the rest of the cohort to illness. Now, and this parent also says to illness in general. It is not right to send a child into school who has symptoms of any sort. You may be spreading the flu. You could spread strep. We've been asking for years to please not send children in with the Advil mask. So please, if they're sick, keep them home. If the school reopens, how many hours do we stay in school? And will the kids have to wear masks all the time? We said that children do not have to wear the mask all the time. We're in school from 9:15 until 9:10 until 2:15, sorry. I am going to ask that the older children in 5th and 6th grade, my big kids, if you could please wear your mask as long during the day as you possibly can. From everything that I'm hearing, it does help when the older children to mitigate transmission if older children wear masks. So, of course, we allow you to take it off when you need to, as long as you're 6 feet from anybody. But I'm really going to ask that my 5th and 6th graders try and set that good example and keep a mask on. And I hope I'm not angering anybody by saying this, but I asked my own child, he's going into 8th grade, please wear the mask. The little ones, we know it's going to be more difficult, but our big kids, I think, can handle it. So I'm going to ask that they wear their masks as much as they can tolerate. Okay? Okay, that was a nice one. Somebody just said thank you. Another nice one. Okay, I already answered this question. It was about pre-K, so we move on. I answered this one. It was about COVID. If somebody tests positive, what happens? Google Hangout. They loved it. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for the feedback. Are we going to do the classes using the same application? Yes, we are. We're still using Google. Also, how would I know about this? I talked about this school supplies. Is it going to be different or the same? It's going to be a little bit different this year because remote instruction will include live instruction from our teachers. There was another question I had come across earlier. Will it be our teachers or some teachers we've never met before? No, there are teachers, good people. So yes, I mean, in any event of a new hire, it would be because somebody retired and somebody would have come in as a new teacher anyway. And if we have classes that we can't cover for any type of a reason, we would have to hire new staff. But for the most part, the remote teachers will be our teachers. It could be that in person you get a new teacher. So that was a question. School supplies for remote learners, will it be the same or different? I would hope they'd be the same, or at least very similar. So you probably need a Chromebook more. So we'll provide that if you need it, just so you know. And again, the question about special education. Maybe we'll have a meet regarding special education, and we'll talk about specifics as we get closer to school starting, okay? Will we be able to opt out of in-school learning if we decide we are no longer comfortable with our child attending school? Yes. Honestly, it is a little bit easier for us if you're in school and then you opt to go to remote, because we're probably, I don't even know, I can't even say that now. because I don't know. We'd love to be able to accommodate you, and if we have room in remote, we will make it happen. We don't want you to have to stay in a situation that you're uncomfortable with. So we'll try to move mountains for you, okay? If you need to come out of in-school learning for some reason. It has to be a really good reason though, because we really need you to commit to this, because it really does, everything depends on your choices. And I got asked another question. Somebody said, I don't understand why you're asking us this 6 weeks before school starts. Well, because we probably need more than 6 weeks to get school up and running. And we need to know how many children we have to accommodate in the building, and how many children we need to accommodate in each classroom, and how many children we need to have a teacher for. So all of those things really depend upon how many children stay home and work remotely, and how many children are physically present. So that's why we're asking now. I mean, we were honestly, the superintendents on Long Island were extremely upset that Governor Cuomo waited so long, and the New York State Ed Department waited so long to give us guidance. You know, it takes us a long time. We start preparing for the next school year somewhere around January. So I'm usually in preparation mode by the time we get the budget up and start moving the budget for the next year. I'm ready to go in January to get started for September. And here I am with my team reinventing a school system. So we need time. So I am so sorry that you feel the pressure, and I wish I could take it away and I could make it easier. But that is why we just want to make sure that we can accommodate everyone, and that our children are safe. I wish we had more time, quite honestly. So I'm asking you to commit until the end of the trimester, which is December 4th, because then we need time to figure out how to move children. If you want to move your child into remote out of in-person, we have to figure out, do we have enough teachers covering those children? We're trying to stay within the class limits in remote. So for K1-2, that's classes of 25. And for 3 and up, those are classes of 27. So we're trying to stay within those numbers. And the only way that we can do that is if when we get to December, we ask everyone again, what do you think? And are we getting to December? That's another question. We don't even know what's going to happen. I'm trying to plan out to December, and I don't even know if that's a possibility. So I'm just asking you all, please, to commit to your decision. And see how many people. We have 709 so far who have figured out what they want to do already with their children. All right, let me see if I have another question here. Did I miss a question? Oh, yep, missed one. Okay, somebody saying hello. Very nice. Is lunch going to take place in the class? Yes, in phase 1, in the very beginning, lunch is going to take place in the class with their teacher. Okay, not in the cafeteria right now. Playtime outside, we're going to teach children how to social distance. We're going to clean up after our kids, of course. Our cleaners will be available. We have cleaners, and we have bus drivers who are part-time cleaners, and they will be circulating through the buildings, wiping down everything. I know it's a big question. How often? Constantly, all day long. They're just going constant. It's like the Empire State Building, the washing of the windows. It always goes on, continuously washing the windows, right? We'll be continuously wiping down surfaces. How is using the bathroom going to be handled? Children have to go to the bathroom. They're going to walk down the hallway. There will be monitors in the hall. Children will go down to the bathroom and do what they have to do, and they will leave and come back down and go back to their classroom, and the monitors will help them do that. Monitors will make sure that they'll peek in and make sure everybody's doing the right thing. They'll peek in and make sure that they have supplies. Of course, we'll be teaching children how to wash their hands the proper way, making sure they're drying them. Somebody had asked if we had automatic sinks. We don't. So they should, I don't have them in my house either, and I understand the whole no touching thing. But we'll have fewer students in the building. We'll have fewer students in the bathrooms. We'll have more adults in the hallways, and we'll be watching the bathrooms constantly and cleaning them. Okay, that's we'll get a schedule together, and that could be shared in the future, and we'll let you know how we're doing with the bathrooms. Okay. Will state testing be available for students this year? I don't know. It wasn't available last year, so I'm not 100% sure about that one. That's to be determined by the Commissioner of Education. Will the school swab for COVID on site? No. We don't do that here. What is the plan if someone's positive? We talked about that. Okay, if somebody is positive, there's a protocol. You know, we have to go through the Department of Health, and they tell us what we should do, and then we would have to trace where that person was. And the question was, does school shut down indefinitely or temporarily? That depends on what the Department of Health tells us. Okay. What is the name of the COVID app to use to enter the temperature? It's called Frontline. That's the app we're going to be using. Frontline. Okay. Oh, this is a good question. Since school will start at 9:10, will there be an early care option just like YMCA Aftercare? You know, YMCA Aftercare seems to be always packed. We have done surveys in the past about early care, and we get no interest. We don't get enough interest to run a program. I could throw a survey out there and see what you think, if early care would be helpful. I don't know if we have the space in the morning, but I could put it out and see if, let me think about that one. I can put it out there and maybe put a survey and see what you all think. Problem being, you have to commit because the whole program shuts down because it's not sustainable financially if we don't have children coming. So let me think on that one. I'll see if I get a survey. Okay. Someone's asking about Harbor Daycare for before school care. You might want to check in with them and see what their plans are. We're not actually affiliated with them. So if you want to talk with them and see if they can do before care, it might still be an option. There used to be a window of at least 15 minutes for kids to arrive at school. Do you foresee a problem happening one time for all to arrive at 9:10 between the kids distancing and all the cars dropping them off? Honestly, I'm a little nervous about the cars dropping off. But as far as distancing, we have to teach our kids how to distance. So practice with them, okay? Practice with them. Like I said earlier, we are going to have different door drops. So you'll be going to different doors to drop your children off. So that might help a little bit with the traffic, and it would help with easing bottlenecking coming into the buildings. And we're working on that. We're trying to make this easy for everybody. Okay, so we're working on it. We'll give you more detail on that, I promise you. Our principals are incredible. They will get this done. What will the hours and capacity for the aftercare program be? The hours. Aftercare starts right at 2:15. It'll start right after school. Children go down the hall to their aftercare at YMCA. The capacity, we're not sure about. Children have to be distanced by 6 feet. So the YMCA may need to license more of our rooms. So we are going to try and accommodate anybody who needs the YMCA. Registration, that's YMCA. Contact them if you have a question about that. If a large percentage, great question. If a large percentage of students opt for in-person learning, will that create an issue with capacity? We can fit all of our children in the buildings. We're just going to have to figure out assignments of teachers if we have a huge amount of in-person learning. You know, my wish is that all this goes away and we can just put all the kids back in the classroom with a classroom teacher and not have to think about it. It'll happen someday. Okay, another question about the bathrooms. Will you have wipes for the students to wipe off the toilet? I'm sorry. We don't have the plumbing for that. Because you know what they're going to do with that wipe. It's going in right in the pipes. No, they will not, but I promise we will be cleaning the bathrooms. And if they go into a bathroom and it's dirty, they need to, when they come out, tell the monitor in the hallway and we'll make sure that it's cleaned up. How many students are going to be in the class? Depends on the size of the room. Depends on the number of children in person and the number of children in remote. Good questions. How will they social distance during gym or recess? Well, 6 feet. They're going to be taught. You're going to tell them. You show them what 6 feet is. We're going to show them what 6 feet is. And they're going to have to stay away. And they're going to be monitored. And our teachers are going to watch. And our monitors are going to watch. During gym, they might not be having gym for the first couple of weeks, gym or physical education, as you've seen it before, because we're going to be very contained and we're going to be very cautious for everything that we're doing. And I know kids love phys ed, and we'll get there and we'll get back there, but we'll see how we do. Okay, we're going to take it a little slow. How will teachers pay attention to each kid following social distancing? Our teacher will pay attention. Our teachers pay attention to everything. They are extremely used to watching out for the welfare of your kids. I have 100% faith in them. Will they have their own disinfecting equipment on their tables? No. We don't give children things to clean with. We're not allowed to do that. Our grown-ups, yes. If they need to wipe something, the grown-ups can do that. Okay, but we don't give cleaning materials to children. We're actually not allowed to. Okay, I see. All right, this mom. Okay, I'm just going to say her first name, Lisa. If you're watching, you're on my mind, and I will get back to you. But I can't do it here. Okay. Oh, and somebody's asking me about Memorial, but I'm not the superintendent over there. That's Dr. Grisani. So you have to talk to Dr. Grisani when it comes to coordinating your children with Memorial. I'm sorry. Okay. This is a lot of questions. Somebody's been thinking. Has the idea of placing Zoom cameras in each classroom been discussed? Yes, it's not happening. We're not putting cameras in classrooms. Not happening. So sorry. We're not doing that. You're either in or you're out. Okay? We're not putting Zoom. We're not putting cameras in classrooms for teachers. Right? They have enough pressure on them. Therefore, providing on-pace, we will have on-pace instruction. We'll talk to each other. So that'll be okay. We're all going to be on the same pace, because just like what you're saying here, if it so happens that we're to close again, everybody goes on remote learning. And if it so happens that we're allowed to reopen fully and everybody's coming back, everybody has to be somewhere within the same realm. So we're doing that. We're actually going to continue to do professional development across the district. I talked about before common assessments, so we are definitely pacing. So it's a good question. Who are the remote learning teachers? Don't know yet. If you have a 6th grader, will it be a 6th grade teacher from the district? It's always going to be from the district. May not be a 6th grade teacher, it could be a 5th grade teacher, but you're not just a 5th grade teacher. We're elementary certified people, so we can teach any grade level, kindergarten through 6th grade if we have the certification. But we really try to match teachers with the grade level. So don't worry about that. We'll do a good job, I promise, because our principals are the best. Are these teachers who are currently teaching in the district, or are we utilizing teachers who have been removed from schools? I don't even know what. I'm going to read that question again. Are these teachers who are currently teaching in the district, or are we utilizing teachers who have been removed from schools? I don't have any teachers that have been removed from schools. Okay, I'm going to the next question. How many students are anticipated in remote learning classes? I answered that before. It's within guidelines. You're either going to have 25 in the younger grades. You can go up to 25 in K1-2, 27 in the other grades. Why is the remote learning not 100% live teaching? Well, because sometimes, here's what happens. You've got 25 children, and some other parent wrote something very funny to me in one of these questions saying, how long can a child sit in front of a screen before they fall asleep? It's like watching television. We have a remote learning committee who are working together. Our teachers are putting together a schedule, and they're putting together delivery. How do we deliver remote instruction? Because this was a big issue for a lot of our families. They didn't want just a meet where we came and we said hello and then we left. They wanted instruction. So very similar to a workshop method, what we are going to do is sometimes you start off with a 10-minute mini lesson, and then you give an assignment like you would in class, and you tell some of the 25 children or 20 children who are in that remote class, I'm going to keep these 5 children here with me on the screen, and I want the rest of the 15 of you to go off and work on what I assigned you, and we're going to be back here in 20 minutes. This way the teacher gets to work with a small group, children are more focused, They know that the teacher's eyes are on them, and they can teach then in a small group. So that's just an example of what we're doing, okay? It's not just going to be that they throw up videos and they're done. I think this work is actually pretty difficult, and I really appreciate those that are going to be doing this. These are some deep questions. If a student, how can a student ask a question? Okay, if this lesson is pre-recorded. I don't think that most of the lessons are going to be pre-recorded. I think if anything, it's a teacher pre-recording something that they just introduced a few minutes ago so the child can watch something. We're not expecting them to teach themselves, so don't worry about that. How is remote learning being handled for kindergarten students? Very carefully. We are definitely looking at how we are going to handle kindergarten. Our teachers have some very good ideas about some programs that are going to be better for students, especially if at the kindergarten level, especially if it's remote. So stay tuned. We'll have to get back to you on that one, but it's definitely a thought. That's some good questions. Okay, I answered that one already. This is a good suggestion. Some grades have more than one class that has a co-teaching or aides. It's actually, I think, just one class in the district. Have you are considering pricing all of those students in the same class? Depends on how many children opt in and opt out. There's a second wave and schools closed. What's the plan for remote learning? I answered this already. Will there be live teaching that coincides? Yes, yes, there will. If we close, we go to remote and everybody's on the same schedule. It goes from 9:10 actually until 3:05 if you're on remote, because there's going to be a lunch period in the middle of the day. So we actually give the children a break because they are, and the teachers, because they're on computer all day long. So there's a break in the middle of the day instead of the break being at the end of the day. Live teaching. Will occupancy signs be posted outside of common use rooms, bathrooms? Yep, yeah, bathrooms, we have to see how many children are allowed in each one, and they'll be told you're only allowed this many, and we can definitely post signs. Why are temperature checks not mandatory? Because it's not recommended. It's for the same reasons that we were talking about before. Parents already given the child Tylenol, they come into the building, they don't have a fever. I see your point, you're talking about the honor system. This is a new world. This is new. So everybody's got to change their ways if this is what things that they've been doing. You can't send your child to school and mask it with Tylenol or Advil. If they came in masked, we would give them the temperature check and they would pass and they would still come into the building. So the other piece of this is not every case of COVID has a fever. Some lose their sense of taste or smell. How are we measuring that? So, you know, I'm sorry, but this is where we are. This is the guidance that we've been given. And I'm sorry you don't agree with it, but this is how we're doing this. Would it be possible for the PTA to raise money for thermometers? If the PTA wants to, they certainly can. If a child is physically sick, we send them home, just like we always do. How will this be handled? We call a parent and we say that, you know, even if they say the child is well, we have to just call the parent and have a conversation with them. So, sorry, this question I can't answer it. They're testing that, yes. I really hope that people aren't going to do this. So just don't do it, please. If a child's sick, keep your child home. And if they are sending in a child who is sick, and it happens over and over, we have ways that we handle that. I answered this question. I had talked about the cleaning, share the plan. We are using Virex. That's the chemical that's being used to clean the high-touch areas. We've been using that for a long time. Yes, we train our staff in cleaning. Is there a standard operating procedure document? I don't know what that exactly is. I don't understand that question, I'm sorry. But we definitely train our staff. There is a protocol that they are trained with. I don't understand that question, no, I'm sorry. What chemical is being used on the desks? It's Virex. How often and when will the rooms be sprayed with the electrostatic spray? They'll be sprayed after school once a day. Is there an HVAC system in the road school? There is. If so, what is the cleaning schedule? I think HVAC is like exhaust, so I don't think we clean exhausts. But I know that we have univents, maybe that's what you're referring to. And we are putting together a schedule. Right now, they're checked in February and April because that's the easiest time to do it. And it was seen that we want to do this more. Our teachers asked us to check the univents a bit more, so we're putting together a schedule on how that's going to happen. We check the univents. Okay. There aren't plans to place purifiers and HEPA filters in the classrooms. There is a plan, though. The architects have been here for the last few days with the HVAC people, and they're trying to figure out a way to make airflow better in the buildings. So we'll have to get back to you on that one because we do not have the answer from them yet as what the solution is for improving the air filtration and the air movements in the buildings. We asked a lot. I hope I was able to answer some of your questions, or most of them. Will the children attending in school learning be given recess outside when weather cooperates? Yes. That's a big yes. Oh, this person says thank you. Thank you for the thank you. I would like to know about the option. I definitely need my glasses. To go to school, but then pull them and go remote. Okay, I talked about that already. Can they be pulled at any point? We're hoping that you don't. We're hoping that you can commit. Unless you really have an emergency, we'll try and work with you. But once we get classes set up, it's going to be difficult moving children around. That's why we're really asking you to pick one and stick with it. And I talked about these other questions this person asked. This is orientation for kindergarten, which we talked about. We talked about the bathrooms. Did I go backwards? That's the same one. Okay, I answered that person. When calculating the amount of desks, this person has a lot of questions too. Okay, here we go. When calculating the amount of desks per classroom, does the square footage take into account the loss of space for built-in closets, cubbies, teachers' desks, and radiators? Yes, it does. Because we're actually going in and we're setting up desks in the classrooms to see how they fare. You know, there are some classrooms that, you know, you think you're going to get 20 desks in and you fit 16. So that's why we were saying 18 is about the average that we can fit into classrooms comfortably with the social distancing. Will there be additional janitorial help hired for additional cleaning and sanitizing? We're shifting around some things, but we don't think at this moment that we need to hire additional people because our bus drivers are also cleaners. So they do the bus routes and then they come back and they clean. So we may not need to do that. Since smaller class sizes would suggest additional classrooms, where will these additional classrooms be located and will they be outfitted with smart boards, libraries? Yes, they would be. But smaller classes may suggest additional classrooms, but those additional classrooms are probably going to be remote. So we may actually have more room with the remote option. So how many additional teachers are you looking to hire? Not. I think that we have enough staff that we can cover the classes in person and the ones remotely. And if we don't, then we have to hire additional people to help us. Okay? Where we answered that? And we talked about ventilation, and we're trying to get the ventilation look. Well, I'm not trying, we did it. We're having the ventilation looked at, and we're waiting for suggestions on how we are going to improve that. Questions? All right, there's a lot of questions here. I don't know if I can answer all these. If a teacher gets tested positive, do all the children need to get tested? Here's what I'll tell you about that one. If my son's teacher was positive, I would take my son to get tested. So I would say you do with your children what you think is best. That's what I would do. This is a question about the isolation. Do we have an isolation room? Yes, we do. Yes, we have an isolation room. If a child gets sick with a fever, they get isolated. How do you determine or know if one child has the flu? Well, we have a nurse. Or something else versus being positive for COVID. Well, we have a nurse. We have awesome nurses, and they're trained in this, and they are the ones that are going to be making these assessments. So we wouldn't have children. You have to separate the children no matter what. We're not predicting that this is going to be a big issue because the level of transmission is so low right now on Long Island. Could we get a surge? Yes, we could. But right now we're at about 1%. So we are not living in an area where there is a lot of transmission. So we're optimistic that we're not going to have throngs of people coming into the isolation room ill. You know, you have to separate them in the room. Even the CDC guidance says you need an isolation room for people who are ill, but you still need to separate them while they're in the room. So we will have a bigger room than a nurse's office. We are commandeering other room space. So we'll keep them separated, I promise you. I don't know the answer to this question. So since the classes will be taught live, will it be recorded so it can be played back later for the parents and they can help understand the schoolwork to explain to the child? I don't know. We didn't talk about that one. If anybody knows the answer who's on my team, send me the text, please, so I can answer that question. Let me see. Let's see. See if anyone has the answer. Wait for one of my teachers to text me, tell me the answer. I don't know the answer to that one. It's a good idea. I don't know if it works. I'm recording my meeting, so that's going to get played back all over the place. Maybe. Okay, that's a good one. Thank you. Will there be tutoring online if the child needs help? Teachers are always available to help. I believe that. So if your child needed help, yes, our teachers are going to help you. Will all the children receive a Chromebook that they can use? Yes. If you need a Chromebook, we will give you a Chromebook to use at home. I can't answer this question. What do you do if a child, happens to sneeze? They're going to sneeze. We're all going to sneeze, okay? We're going to teach them to do this. You're going to teach them to do that. We're going to teach them to do that. You can't go sneezing on people, okay? You have to cover your mouth. That's part of the CDC guidelines. Cover your sneeze, all right? I can't prevent them from sneezing. I can only help them learn to cover it. I address this because this person is asking me, why are you asking us to make a decision like this that we're locked into until January with 6 weeks to go? I'm really sorry that we have to ask you to do it. I'm sorry we're in this situation. I want to be able to say, you know what, we're all coming back in September and you don't have to think about any of these things. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So I'm sorry. I don't know how to apologize more. And I am giving you less than a week to make a decision. But if it really is weighing on you that much, we will revisit it at some point. If you really need that, we will. But I'm sorry. This is why it just trickles down from the top. This is where we are right now. This is another special ed question. Can the decision on I think that means the decision on something for parents be extended until Governor Cuomo makes his announcement. Whether Governor Cuomo makes his announcement about us going remote, if Governor Cuomo is either going to say we're all going remote or you have to come back to school. No matter what, I have to give him my plan by tomorrow. So he's going to have the plan. They're going to either get approved. Well, actually, no, that's not true. They are all approved unless they're not. That's really what he said to all the school districts. So as long as we're following the guidance and assuring that we are doing what he wanted us to do, our plan is approved. So I don't know how I don't know how to tell you that we can wait, because we just can't. We have to start moving forward so that we're prepared when the children either walk in the door or turn on their computer in September. So I'm sorry about that. I know you're probably not satisfied with that answer, but I'm sorry. Okay, another question about ventilation systems. I answered that already. Architect and HVAC guys have been around. We're going to figure it out. This question, what does the lunchtime health plan look like for students with allergies? Well, if your child has an allergy, you have the health plan, or we have to write one for you. So it's an individual plan, and that's what it would be, an individual plan that you make with the nurse and your doctor. So I wouldn't know what your child's health plan looks like, but whatever that is, we follow. Talked about children becoming ill. If a child becomes ill during the day, they go to the nurse puts them in the isolation room or not, calls the parent has to come and pick them up. And see if they have COVID symptoms, they're going to contact the Department of Health. Answer that question already. I don't understand that question. But how much teaching time do we anticipate? A lot. There's a lot of teaching time. Your teacher is, if you're in person, is from 9:10 until 2:15. Your teacher is with your child in the classroom. Even with specials, that's teaching. So then you have two teachers that are in the classroom now teaching. Lunch, very short. 20 minutes for children to eat lunch, and then they go outside for recess, still with their teacher, right? And all day long, they're teaching them. Right when they're out of recess, what are they teaching them? 6-foot distancing, cover your face. So they're there. They're teaching all day long. This question is a building principal question, and I'm not sure what the answer is. Will sibling pickup be allowed? I'm probably going to say yes to this because we've always done it. We just have to figure out how to do it differently, because that's what we're doing with everything, doing things differently. If not, how should a parent navigate picking up multiple children from multiple doors at the same time? So this might be an answer to that, having a sibling do it. All right, we'll figure it out. Will additional school supplies be added to the list, or will the school be providing supplies? Hand sanitizer and wipes. We have hand sanitizer, so we're not going to ask you to buy. This was a question about the automatic sinks. We don't have automatic sinks. We definitely have soap dispensers, and we definitely have water and paper towels. So to upgrade to automatic sinks, I was told it's somewhere between $400, $500 a sink, and we didn't budget for that, but definitely on the radar. We were talking about it, so can't promise you for this year, but it's a project we should probably be doing for the future. How are teachers assigned? Will there be dedicated teachers for students at home? Yes. Teachers are not doing both. A particular teacher is not doing both in person and at home. So if you have Mrs. Jones for in person, Mrs. Jones only teaches in person. Okay, that's it. Mrs. Jones is not teaching remote. Oh, that was nice. Saying thank you. You're welcome. That was very kind. Somebody testing positive. We talked about that already. Asked about new hires. We will have some new hires. We have new hires every year. It's not because we're hiring people just to teach remote. This must be happening in a district because a few parents asked this question, but it's not happening here. Okay, we actually were hiring a new teacher. Will be on the agenda for August 10th, and that person could be in a classroom or could be remote. But we didn't hire that person particularly to be remote. Okay. Actually, we think that person is probably in person. All right. So, what are the plans to make remote learning more effective? We talked about that. Definitely live interactions. And thank you for thanking my team. This person thanked my team. I thank my team. My team is awesome. This is a special education question. What will be done to ensure the safety of special education students who are less capable of following the new protocols? We're going to do our best. It's like we always do, every child. okay? We will ensure their safety. We have many, many capable adults who are going to make sure that your children are safe to the best of our ability. Okay, if we opt for remote learning for the first 3 months, then decide to do in-person learning for the following trimester, would the child be guaranteed to attend her zone school, or would they possibly be placed in one of the other 3 schools within our district for January to March? I fully understand that it's difficult to go from remote to in-class once the classes are configured for the first trimester based on the survey. However, are the classes going to be reconfigured based on the second survey in December? I'm not sure. It depends on where we are. If the transmission rate gets worse, we are going to all be remote anyway, and this is going to be a moot issue, right? This is going to be going away. I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee that if you go to remote, that you're going to be able to come back to your school. I would like to guarantee it, and I will do my extreme very best that if you make that option, if you make that choice, we will do everything we possibly can to get your child back to their school. As long as it doesn't involve adding staff, we will try to move mountains for you. Okay, best I can promise you. Answer that question. If we decide to go remote for the beginning of the year, are we guaranteed a spot if we decide to go in person in January? I just said, I'm sorry, I can't guarantee that you will go back to a particular place, but I can guarantee if you want to come in person, we'll find a way to get you in person. Right? With the goal being getting you into your home school. This person has a lot of questions. Let me see if I answered many of these. What's the rate of infection? What rate of infection will result in a total shutdown? Ooh, Governor Cuomo said that if we hit like 9%, he was going total shutdown, I believe. Let me go back and check what that said. But it depends. He said that for us to go to open, we need to be at 5% or under, right? So if our transmission rate is under 5%, which is very likely it will be, we'll open. But as far as the rate of infection, it depends. I mean, look at where it was when we shut down in March, right? That was when it was on the incline. As soon as they start to see it go up, they're going to close us. Questions about bathroom cleaning. We'll have adults in the hallways checking on those bathrooms, okay? Remote learning will be 10 minutes per day of interaction through Google Classroom or more time. Will they be teaching during this 10 minutes? I addressed that. They will be teaching maybe just 10 minutes to start, and then there's going to be groups, and the teacher will circulate with the groups. Sometimes it's going to be whole group, but it is going to be definitely interactive, and it's going to be, you're going to have a teacher. If the kids cannot interact with each other in class, what will a typical day be like? The kids can interact with one another. They're just going to have to do it from a little bit of a distance, okay? We're not going to keep them in desks, sitting in rows, not communicating. That's not good for them, okay? We want them back in person because it's the best thing for them, right? If they're here, we're going to make sure that they're not isolated, right? That's your choice. If a child shows up to school without a mask, are they allowed in the building? No, we're going to give them a mask and tell them come in, okay? Anybody shows up without a mask, I'm giving you a mask. And if you're an adult, why are you showing up without a mask? Wear a mask, okay? Yes, if the kids are not required to wear masks in the classroom, this is a sneeze question again, okay? We're going to cover our mouths. And are they required to wear them? They are required to wear them in the classroom, okay? But if they need a break, they can take their mask off. Little kids, second grader, you can't stand it on your face. You take your mask off, right? You have to sneeze, you do this. Cover your mouth, cover your nose. If one child is absent due to sickness, what is the time frame that as soon as possible? I mean, we'll notify parents as soon as humanly possible, okay? You're not going to find out, hopefully, through social media, okay? Will other parents be advised if it is a cold, flu, or COVID? They'll be advised if someone has COVID, but we're not going to tell you that a particular child, we don't share children's health information, we're not allowed. But we'll definitely give you an idea if somebody, we'll definitely tell you if somebody has COVID. We're not going to tell you who it is, but we'll take care of you, I promise. We will not let you go be in the dark, all right? I think I answered all those other questions, all right? Make sure you wear a mask and send them to school with a mask. We're sending 2 masks home, okay? All right. Were there any other possibilities outside of the time change for the school? There were many. We had a lot, and this one seemed just like the one that worked best. Having the prep period in the beginning of the day for the teachers gives them time to get set up and get ready for the day. It gives us time to clean, prepare, get ready for the children to come in. And as far as the last period, changing that, we actually moved the teacher's lunch to the end of the day so that we didn't have to have additional adults circling into the classroom to supervise lunch and to supervise recess. That exposes your children to fewer people. So that was why we did that. It seemed like the best decision, and that's where we are. Oh, the wait list for aftercare. It's just, that's the worst. How will it work? It's YMCA. So I understand the working parent thing. I'm one of those. So I hope no one gets waitlisted. And I was on the phone with Mr. Foster talking with him today all about this. So I hope you were on earlier listening about the YMCA. We'll have it in all 4 buildings. And hopefully no one gets waitlisted. We'll do our best to make sure, because I know years ago at one of the buildings, it was Manor Oaks, I think there was a wait list at some point, but we made sure that we fixed that. So I hope that it's been fixed. And if it's not, I remember Road School had a huge wait list too at one point, but I hope that that's been fixed. I didn't hear about wait listing last year, so I'm hoping that was fixed. Can class size be even smaller? It could be. I'm not sure if it will be. But if it can be, we will make it, okay? More conducive to 6-foot distance. We are doing 6-foot distance while giving the children the opportunity to step out of their cordoned-off area. Understood. You want your children to be able to move around? I do too, all right? So where we can, we will. And yes, we definitely want to let them out of the classroom, and they can move around in the classroom as long as they have a mask on, okay? As long as people are masked, they can have a mask. They can walk around. All right, when the teacher lets them. I have to make sure my teachers see that when the teacher says it's okay. All right. Has the district considered a different platform than Google Classroom? We did. We considered using, oh, you're talking about the whole thing. No, I don't think we considered it Google Classroom. This is a conversation you may want to take up with the principal, and have a conversation with the principal, or talk with the director of curriculum, instruction, and technology. But we had some conversations, and we always have conversations about what we're going to do in schools and what's best for our kids. And long story short, this is the one that we felt was best for the district. There's no fee for Google Classroom, and I'm not sure what the major limitations are, but you're referring to, but I'd love to hear your input. Will conferences and back to school nights be done virtually? Yes, probably. Once you are able, will the school hours, oh, I want to be able to say yes to this. I love how you wrote this too. Once we are able, will the school hours, class movement, lunch, PE, etc., all return to pre-COVID? I know that is not really a fair question, but I just need to get a sense of the long-term thought process. Oh, I certainly hope so. I would love to go back to pre-COVID, wouldn't we all? I will do that as soon as I'm allowed. It will be changed back, I promise. There were 25 students in my son's class last year. How are you planning to keep the class sizes to an average of 18 students? I don't know if all of them will be 18, but when children are home on remote, that means they're not coming into school. That means that the class size goes lower. So that's how that works. If not, we split classes. This is the question again about changing. We decide to do in person and change our mind before school starts. Is this allowed? I'm going to tell you no. We really need you not to do that. We need you not to change your mind. We need you to stick to what you're thinking. I know this is a difficult decision. And sometimes, you know, we want to flip-flop back and forth, but we really need you to stick to it where you are. If we decide to do in person and change our mind midterm, is this allowed? Highly discouraged. It's going to be extremely difficult to move children in and out of classes. I mean, this is like moving a child from one person's class to another person's class in the middle of the school year. It's just not a flip-flop. It's an assignment. Same question I just answered. Okay, I have to check this person's asking something else. I have to answer it directly. I love the falling asleep in computer. I know. Not sure if there's any solution there, though, for safety for everyone. I agree. I agree, sir. I agree. I don't know. For remote learning wasn't as effective for the younger, less independent children, and we're working on that. So I hope it's improved this time around, and I know it will be because our teachers are working on it. Okay. Same question. Same question. Can I change? I answered that. How do I secure my kids' seats if I choose remote learning? You choose remote learning, we can't tell you that we're saving a seat because we only have a limited amount of space. So if you choose remote learning, it's not guaranteed that you can come back in, that your child could come back into that class. And I'm sorry, this is one of the drawbacks of that, but this is how we're able to give our families options. What is the teacher-student ratio for remote learning? I answered that. Will students have live lesson? Yes. Why is the daily schedule so long? Most of New York City is holding 5-period and 1 to 3 day maximum. Well, because we're not New York City. We're in White Park Garden City Park. And we're doing in person. And we're doing 5 days a week. And that was what I had heard from the survey. People need school open. The survey that I had sent a couple months back asking, you know, I'm sorry, a couple weeks back asking, you know, what is it that the families want? You know, this was parental input to our plan. They wanted their children back in. There were some people that said that they wanted hybrid, and that you're asking that question also. But the reason why New York City has a hybrid program is because they can't fit 1 million children into their school buildings when they have to split their classes of 30. There's just not enough room. So when you hear that there's a district that's doing a hybrid, offering a hybrid program, it's usually because they don't have the space. They just cannot fit all the children into the buildings. We did the survey and for ourselves. We surveyed and we made sure, can we fit everybody back in here if we do in person? We can. It's just we're going to be using spaces. If everyone comes back and we had to still socially distance, we would be able to, but we would be using spaces that weren't ordinarily used for classrooms. So that's why we're not doing hybrid. We can actually fit our kids here. And with this option that we did with giving you the choice of either remote or in person, it actually frees up space and allows us to have children here in person. So yeah, we get compared to New York City a lot, but I personally think we're better. Sorry. I picked that one we got already. Same question. What kind of video app will we use? I don't know. Okay, we don't use a video app. We use Google Meet, and that's because it's secure. Okay. It won't be a big. Okay. I answered that. We're getting a lot of questions about changing the schedules and the school day. We've been through many iterations of what the school day is going to look like, and we've worked with our teacher association to come up with the schedule that we have, and this is the schedule that we are going to have. So we're not switching the schedules. Schedule staying as is. There's a question about how special ed will be provided. This is another question, same thing. Okay, this is a particular parent who needs a particular question answered, and I'm going to give that to Mrs. Levy. Yes, there is a remote only option. Somebody asked that question. There is. If you want to do remote, you can do remote only. Now, this is another parent who's saying, please make sure that those parents do not send their children to school sick. We all know that there are occasions that children show up for school not well, but may not be presenting a fever. They were given Tylenol or Advil just when they were walking out the door. And, you know, can we please not do that? We don't want our children sitting next to someone who's sick. I totally get it. I totally get it. I hope that I emphasize that. And I'm going now an hour and 20 minutes. I'm sorry it's so long, but I'm going to answer every single question that's here to the best of my ability. Again, someone's asking me about changing the schedule. We're not changing the schedule. I'm sorry, I'm flexible on things, but this one I'm not flexible on because it took us a long time to get to this, and we really believe that we have a good schedule, a good plan here. Okay, we're not going to be able to tell you which teachers are teaching remote until we know. You'll get your class assignments once we know who's staying home and who's coming in. Oh, there's like 10 questions here. I hope I answered a bunch of these. I like this. Someone sent them in and said, feel free to contact me directly. Oh, this is nice. Thank you. Okay. This is a good question. How are the parents selected to be a part of the design team? I didn't receive notification on this option. How many parents were included? Well, usually when I go looking for parents to help, I send out a request to the PTA presidents, and that's exactly what I did. And my PTA president sent some designees, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the names of everybody who was there, but we met live on a Google Meet and we talked about this. But that's usually how I do it. And then the other way that we had parents to be a part of the design team was that we sent you a survey. So every single parent who answered that survey, you are considered a part of our design team because you gave us the input, and that's how we came up with this plan. Yes, there'll be a 6-foot radius. I'm hiring people not to help with the cleaning as much, but I'm hiring people so that they can monitor that everything is being cleaned. Like our monitors in the hallways will be able to tell us if something needs to be wiped down, cleaned, because we'll have people in the halls. We didn't used to have that. This is all cleaning questions. We are going to be cleaning. We promise you we will be cleaning. It's a CDC expectation that we clean and sanitize. So whatever you see in the CDC guidance, that's what we're going to be doing. Is there an expectation that teachers are supposed to assist with cleaning their classrooms? There's not an expectation, but I'll tell you that they want to. I mean, they don't want a dirty classroom. They want everything clean. So what they would do is we have to actually give them training, a protocol on how to clean the desks. I'm not in charge of that though. Thank goodness my director of facilities is, and he's going to take care of that. I answered this already. We use Virex. You can Google it. Exact criteria the nurse will use to determine if they're COVID. They're nurses, so they know, and they know the symptoms. And yes, they'll report it to the Department of Health. We talked about HVAC and air quality. Oh, homework, my favorite topic. Teachers generally provide different volumes of homework. Yes, they do. What's the thought on homework? I don't know if I should say what I think about homework. I think homework has to be very strategically assigned, and it should be meaningful. So if it's not, we shouldn't be sending it home. I hear you. Many parents are struggling with working from home, finding new jobs. Yes, absolutely. Can a reduced homework schedule be implemented as to not put extra burden on families? It sure can. So we talk about this all the time, not just giving homework to give homework, but giving homework that is meaningful. So that's my thoughts on it. I'm sure there's people watching this, and I know that I'm recording it. I'm going to share it, and people are going to hear me say that. So that's my thoughts on that. Kindergarten in September, I did talk about that. I think this person is a teacher. I think I want to have a conversation with this person because this is a great question. Will they be put in a designated class since they were not evaluated? Last I heard, they would be in an open classroom setting in the beginning. That is true. That's what we were saying. However, this doesn't seem to follow. It might not. So we are going to change. You'll hear from the principals. They'll let you know how we're going to evaluate the kindergartners. Okay, thank you. Those were great questions. All right, I answered this. I answered that. Good afternoon. Earliest time to drop off the children, 9:10. If it changes, we promise you we will let you know. We answered this question too. That question was about if I opt out, can my child go back to their school? And we will do our absolute very best to bring your children back to the home school if it's possible. That is we will try our very, very best. We want everyone to be back in their schools. I want you all back in your schools right now. I answered this question. Okay. What's the earliest time do we expect to see a daily schedule of online learning? I think I told you what the schedule is, right? So children would start their, okay, I'll tell you. Special would start at 8:30 from what I understand right now. And look, this is subject to change, but it's just, sometimes a little bit different. Was it 8:30 or was starting at 9? 8:30. And there's lunch in the middle of the day. They go till 3:05, or they start at 9:10. I'll have to clarify that for you because now it's going out of my head. I think I've been talking too long. I think it's 9:10 until, I gotta get back to you. I'm sorry. I will get back to you. Let me see. Do I have it here? Let me see. Oh, remote sample schedule. I have it. It looks like 8:30 to 12, then lunch, and then 12:50 to 3:05. Okay? All right. If that's not accurate, and one of you are watching this, send me a text, please, and let me know. I know that most of my team probably isn't on this Google Meet live stream because they wanted to leave seats for the families. Because I know there was only 250 participants available. But we'll post this recording afterward. Okay, so I'll get you a schedule, I promise. Okay, talked about UPK. They could do remote learning, the UPK kids. And I told you about the change in the class time. I love this question. With the air circulation, does this mean the school will not be overly hot at all times? I hope so. We are trying to fix that, alleviate it, make it better. And will it be temperature controlled? That it will not be because we are not putting in, central air. So we can't temperature control, but we can definitely make it better. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Rutkowski. She said I am correct. That was the schedule for remote. Okay, this is the staggered, asking about morning care. Not sure about morning care. Students using digital devices in schools or books, both. And your principals will get in touch with you about arrival. Oh, I have come to the very last question. And it is, will children be asked to be kept at home if a family member has tested positive? They're supposed to stay home if a family member has tested positive. Okay? All right. It is 7:28. And I have answered almost every question, and I have answered to the best of my ability at this point in time. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope we had a good audience, good-sized audience. You're, of course, a good audience, but I hope you were a good-sized audience. And then I hope your questions were answered. I hope you feel better in making a decision. We now have 728 responses. So while I was talking, 28 more people made a decision. We're still around the same percentage. We're about 70-30, okay? 70% in-person, 30% remote. And please remember that whatever you choose is right for you, and that's what we want for you, okay? Whatever you feel is best for your child, we will help you through this crazy, unprecedented time in the world. And thank you, Mrs. Donnie. She sent me a text. We are trying so hard to make this easy for everyone. And I know it is going to be difficult, but please try and think differently. We are reimagining education right now. We are reinventing the wheel. And it's not easy. And we went to school to be teachers, and now we are health experts. Not really, but we're supposed to be. So we're doing our very best. I thank everybody who has had any input whatsoever into this. Your surveys are read. I read them over and over. The principals and the administrative team they've been absolutely incredible in trying to make sure that we get our children back into the building. I was over at Road School today with Patrick, our head custodian. He was taking me through the classrooms and he was showing me how they were trying to set the rooms up for our children to come back, making it comfortable. It's just so different for all of us. And we're going to work with you. So please work with us. Please keep in mind that we're doing our best here, and we need you two to be flexible. And we miss your kids. You know, we just want to see them. So please enjoy your summer. Please stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. Stay socially distant. Keep our transmission percentages down so that we can all get back to normal. Okay. Thank you, New Hyde Park Garden City Park. I am so lucky to be your superintendent, and I miss you all so much. Okay, and talk to you soon. Bye. Don't forget, by August 2nd, make a choice. Make a choice. We need you to make a choice. Thank you.